you begin to talk back to God and remind Him, the Bible talks about reminding Him. Watch this. When you remind God, be careful that He don't remind you. See, this is what a lot of people are doing. Watch this. Lord, I've been tired. I've been often I go to church. Lord, I help people. I'm kind. I said, yeah, that's fine. You do all that. He said, but I told you to do a revival last week. You didn't do it. I told you to consecrate and turn down your place for 3 days. You didn't do it because you're behind wanted pizza. Because you want a crystal in Kentucky. So you didn't turn down your plate for 3 days. So listen, you're doing these exterior things, but there's some private things I told you that nobody know about. Just because you come to church, everybody see you. Just because you pay your tithe, everybody see you. We go to revival, everybody see you. But privately, I told you to go pray, and you won't because you wanted to sleep and snore. So you want to get up at 3. Lord, that's 3 o'clock, 3:30. Lord, that's kind of early. I want to sleep. The Lord was telling me to get up and pray. I'm going to share with a saint. The Lord telling me to get up and pray. You know how you share with someone and tell them what the Lord will tell them to do? And they say it like they're going to do it and don't do it. 3:30 hit. And then when they talk to somebody, you know, I was going to get up, and what happened was. And God's saying, see, let me remind you about that 3:30 I told you about. Let me remind you about what I told you to turn down your plate. See, if we want to remind God, that'll remind us. Yeah, He's going to remind us. God ain't the time to want to throw stuff all back in our face all the time. But He have to do that to keep us humble, to make us realize we ain't where we think we are. He have to do that too, just for that reason. Not to be this God always want to try to beat us down and say, you ain't perfect, because God don't want to do that to us. And a lot of times He don't remind us. But a lot of times He have to do it to say, see, you're not where you think you are. The fire we should be seeing. The message title said the fire should be bringing you to us to better eyesight and clarity. The secondary part of that of the message was, are you seeing clearer now? Your revelation should be clearer now. You should be getting the revelation of what He's actually saying now. I said earlier, and I was given a scenario of cook, the revelation God gave me about food, and how He's talking about, and the revelation He gave me was about food being cooked, about rice and about chicken hens, chicken wing hens. Chicken hens wings. And then, anybody who know about hens know that their wings are tougher. Okay? And I was given a scenario how I bit into the hen wing. I thought it would be normal, and it was hard. It was like rubber. And I also give a scenario about, cooking brown rice. Because anybody who knows about cooking brown rice knows it takes longer. If you don't have any patience, don't cook brown rice. And if you're real hungry, don't cook. Just make some white rice. What's the scenario behind the story I was using? Was the fact that God was saying that the scenario of the rice and the hen wing is a scenario of a lot of these things. Because the rice takes a little longer to cook. Because that rice has a certain grain to it. And it takes longer to cook. And so you have to keep it on the fire longer. And see, so what it is a lot of these people have to stay on the fire longer. They might have to go back in the oven. Because the statement He gave me was, this is a statement, not part of the message. The statement is this here. Many, talk about people, many are not seeing and must be recooked until done. Many are not seeing and must be recooked until done. So guess what? I may need to be recooked. You may come out in your proper time. Ding! You're finished. And so you may be finished. You may be finished. I still may need to go back in. You know why? Like I said last week, or like the Lord said last week, it may need to be an extension. It may need to be an extension. Why an extension? Because it's whether we get it. It's the key. And God's saying, A lot of people have to stay on the fire or go back in the oven. And they don't get it. They're not seeing what I want them to see. Now, like I said earlier, today marks 4 weeks, marks the 4th week I've been teaching about the fire. When God has someone preaching and teaching one message so long, there's a reason why. Today marks the 4th week of talking about the fire from different angles. Watch this. Today he's saying, your eyesight and clarity should be in a place where you begin to see now. Doesn't mean we didn't never see, but we should really get it. Because he's saying the fire should be bringing you to better eyesight and clarity. Are you seeing clearer now? Are you really seeing what God is saying? He's saying, watch it, because I haven't gotten to the nugget. He's saying, are you really seeing what I'm trying to show you, my son, my daughter? See? Because now is the place, and I'm going to say this and then we can go on to the nuggets. Watch it. Now, he begins to say this. When you begin to come to the place of seeing better, I'm going to tell you what happens. You will sit in the midst of hell, in the midst of going through, and people can understand why your spirit is so calm. They can't understand why you're so calm. In the midst of the stuff that you're going through, why are you so calm? Because you come to a place of peace. Remember what we said last week? When you come to the place of peace, what happens? Your fire is almost over. If there's still chaos, that means you're not in a place of peace. Because when you come to the place of peace, God is saying you're now getting ready to be promoted out of the fire to come to the place of receiving your season, which is your 4 new season. So now, being that that's the case, what he's saying is this here. We should be at a place of peace with the fire. Meaning this here, we're not a place of knowing that we're being burned and we're not kicking and screaming and crying. It's like, okay, just go ahead and burn me. Go ahead and let the fire burn. Because all this burning, once all this blackness come off, it's going to be smooth and clear and looks nice. And that's the symbolism of we understand that what in purified will come forth as what? Pure gold. Pure gold. Let's turn to John chapter 9 to give you 3 definitions. But I'm going to go to John chapter 9 and then let's give you 3 definitions and we'll go into the nuggets right quick, okay? John chapter 9, we understand. I'm going to tell a story as you turn in there. There's only 3 verses. John chapter 9, we understand it's a story about the blind man being healed. Remember the blind man got healed? And the Pharisees asked a question. It said, who sinned, this man or his parents? Remember? And Jesus said neither. It was because so that the word of God be wrought in his glory be revealed. Now the Pharisees, because there's 4 people talking in this chapter. The Pharisees, Jesus, his parents, and the blind man himself. 4 talking in this chapter. Now, what you got to understand is, you say, well, the Pharisees want to come and persecute, so because this man shouldn't have healed like this. He shouldn't have healed during the Sabbath time. He shouldn't have healed. And then they begin to question the parents. Well, who's this? He said, well, you know this, or all I can tell you this here now. All I can tell you is this. My child was born blind. Now, I can't tell you whether this man Jesus did it or not. All I know is he was born blind. That's all I can tell you, because the Pharisees start questioning the parents. And then the Pharisees questioned the man himself. And that story went on. It was this conversation back and forth between those 4. This up and down, whole chapter. And then, see, now, it goes into, and I can't really teach this right now, but it goes into, transfers into chapter 10, and begin to talk about the thief, kills, steal, and destroy. Remember that? Because remember that's a continuation of a story. Now, watch this. At the ending of chapter 9, Jesus made an interesting statement to them. And this is where we're going to deal with the aspect of what we mean sight. Watch this. When we deal with John chapter 9, and we're going to understand something. And this is why God's saying what he's saying. John chapter 9, I'm not there yet, but y'all are. And he says something very interesting at the ending. Let's look at, because this is the blind. Let's take our verse number 36. We do 36 through 40, one of the last 5 verses. And it says this here. It says, and remember, this is the blind man talking now. He said, he answered and said, who is he? Because remember, Jesus was talking to him. Lord, that I might believe on him. And Jesus said unto him, Thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe. And he worshipped him. And Jesus said, But judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and they which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words, and said unto him, Are we blind also? And this is a statement I want you to remember. And Jesus said unto them, If ye were blind, you should have no sin. But now ye say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth. What did that have to do with the message title? And what is God saying? See, he's saying this here. The message says this here. Now, the fire should be bringing you to a better place of eyesight and clarity. Are you seeing clearer now? See, that means this here. I'm saying I'm seeing. But really, hypothetically speaking, I'm not really seeing. But I'm telling you that I'm seeing. See, Jesus just said this, it's just like the Pharisees. You're not really seeing, Calvin, Apostle. You're not really seeing. So if I'm really not seeing, and I'm in my pride of saying I see. He said, Jesus said, because you really say you see, but you really don't. You're blind. Because you don't want to accept the truth that you really don't see. And when you really don't see, when you try to say you see, you're actually blind. He said, now your sin remains. So what does that have to do with us? Watch this. That means the fire have to remain. Because in an Amplified version, it says this. Let me read to you the Amplified version. It says this. This is Amplified, verse 41. Jesus said unto them, If you were blind, you would have no sin. But because you now claim to have sight, your sin remains. If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But because you insist, you do see clearly, you are unable to escape your guilt. You cannot escape the fire. You cannot escape the chastisement of God. When you claim to see and you know you don't, you have to be honest and say, God, I don't see. Because I don't see, that's the place where God says, I can purify you. When I can purify you, I can allow you to see right. And when you can see right, then you can come obey me right and come to me right. That's why you're in the fire, to make sure you see right. So how you see right if you're still in the fire? You're in the fire, so make sure you see right. So if that's the case, the fire should be purified to a place where you begin to get to a place where I saw all my mess. I saw all my mess, and now I'm beginning to see right, and through that you begin to repent and say, God, I ask you to forgive me, God. And the fire, if there's no repentance, then that means somebody's not seeing. How do we see right? I'm just saying in general. Any of us. There's any of us in the kingdom. There's anybody. There ain't one person, just in the kingdom at large. Anybody, how are we seeing right? If there's no repentance. And the fire is to make you see right. It's not just prophesying and being anointed. And being called and being gifted and on the word. That's all a part of just who we are. But in the fire is to make sure you get your spirit right and your heart right. Because God said, I'm trying to get my people to come forth towards me. Right. There could be a readjustment. Readjustment of your mind, your heart, your spirit, your attitude, your approach, your views, how you do things. You do things different now. You see things different now. Your mind has expanded. And God's saying to his people, are you seeing clearer now? But guess what? This is the question. Because that's a question, and we understand when it's a question, it makes it rhetorical. That means you only can answer it within you alone. No one can answer that for you. Whenever a question comes like that, and I'm asking a question, it is rhetorical. No one can answer it for you. And when no one can answer it for you, guess what? I can't point my finger. You can't point your finger. You just got to sit there and say, yes or no. Or maybe, or whatever, or what I need to readjust. You just answer within privately. It's a private thing. But look what he says. He says, many are not seeing and must be recooked until done. I mean, they got to go back on the stove, then they got to go back in the oven. Because the lesson have not been learned. The fire did not bring the full clarity. Fire, this is the first definition. The word fire, you don't have to really write these down. This is the definition I'm going to give you. They're kind of free. The word fire means severe trial or ordeal. That is the word of fire. The second word is the word clarity. It's clearness or clearness of appearance. But guess what? The root word of the word clarity is the word clear. Watch this. The word clear means to be easily understood. It also means easily perceptible to the eye or ear. If that is the case, easily perceptible to the eye or ear means this here. That means you easily see what he wants you to see. You easily hear what he wants you to hear. And we understand hearing in our spirit man. So guess what? That means are things clear to bring about clarity. Are things clear to bring about clarity? Which is the fullness of something being clear. So if that is the case, watch this. It's easily understood. That's when you get a spirit like a child. Who did he say is the greatest in the kingdom? He that come humble as a child. And that's where you see elevations of the anointing. It's when you humble, be broken like a child. Because remember something, a child is like a sponge. Anything you tell them, they believe it. Generally speaking, until you get to ages and know that ain't true. You know, generally speaking. You know, at a certain age, they believe everything you tell. You know what I mean? When they get to a certain age, they wise up. Oh, no, you put your mind there. No, I don't believe that. I mean, but when they're at a certain age, they believe everything you tell them, they believe. They become a sponge. Everything you tell them, they believe it. Jesus said the greatest in the kingdom must come like a child. Humble like a child. See, a lot of times we're not humble. We're not humble. And because we're not humble, God starts to humble you down like a child. And when you come humble like a child, then can there be what we call great in the kingdom. And the kingdom has nothing to do with a position. Has nothing to do with a position. Great in the kingdom has to do with greatness of your spirit with God. See, he said great in the kingdom. My people is in the kingdom. Because he's spirit and we are spirit, and we hear by the spirit. If you hear by the spirit, it has to do with the greatness of your spirit with the spirit. Has nothing to do with the position. Some of the greatest people have no title based on their spirit. Why this? Because God is saying this here. Many of my people, they're hearing me, but they're not hearing me. Many of my people see, but they're not seeing. Because we understand, remember something. In the fire, we are to get the revelation of what he's saying. He's given us revelation. We're to see. And we're to see what he's saying. Remember what I said last week or the week before that? I said, remember something. God is not concerned about us just having revelation. He wants to get the revelation he wants us to get for the fire. Because remember something, the revelation won't come to you anyway. Because we're not getting the calling without grace. So you will see, I'm going to see, regardless. But what he's saying, I want you to see what I want you to see right now. Because that's the place that's going to take you to the place of what? Elevating you and getting you to the place where I want you to get. Let's go into some of these areas. And then you understand why God's saying this. Why God's saying some people might got to go back and up. Not even get into the nugget. We really haven't got into the message. But these are the areas. Now, the first scenario we have is this. The first one we have is love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness. See, all these nuggets that God gave me is a reason why, because what he's saying is, my people didn't understand, being in the fire is not just to come forth and be a user of him. Being in the fire is to kill you too. Being in the fire is to kill you. To kill your flesh, and your ways, and your perception, and your views. Kill all of that. And so you can come into a kingdom setting of things. So now, love and forgiveness is key, because what he's saying is, the fire should be bringing you to a better eyesight and clarity. Are you clear now that the fact that you still struggle with unforgiveness and that you're not walking in the love the way I tell you to walk in it? Are you, how you come to the place of clarity on that yet? Are you not clear? Are you not clear that based on the fact that you should be easily understood that your heart is hard, easily understood? It should be easily understood that you're not walking in love the way you're supposed to. Remember that? Remember what God is saying. He's saying the fire is to what? Bring us to a place of being able to see right. Are we seeing this right? Because in the kingdom, there's still so much art. It's amazing how when I do revivals and services, how I got to tiptoe around who I invite based on who like who and who don't like who based on leaders and preachers. Let me look at the camera and say this. It's so amazing how I have to tiptoe and invite this one and not that one. Be careful over here and that because of who don't like who. Now let me look this direction. Now let me look back this way. It's amazing how I have to do that. I get sick of doing it, but I have to do it to use wisdom. Because there's so many different people I know and relate to, but I got to be careful not to invite this one, this, and if I do, make sure it's not on that. Man, please, that's something having my spirit all mixed up sometimes, trying to get this thing right. Well, you got to, I can't get this one because if I get this one, he don't like him, and then I can't come over here because he don't care for him, and she don't care for him, and then, and I'm trying to do this thing because I love everybody, and but I'm looking at all these different preachers who love me, but at the same time, some of them won't like each other. And I got to be careful who I invite on what night on this to do greetings, and this one do words of encouragement, this one to do this one get this one's quiet, and that. Man, please. See, like I said before, I don't like to stand that point long. A lot of churches, a lot of leaders in churches are not going to do because they're so anointed, because they messed up, and God's purifying that church. Y'all want me to repeat that? That's not because they're so anointed. They're going through because God's trying to purify them from the mess they're in. That's why you start to see some cases leaders start to go and apologize to one another. Because a lot of stuff they had always had no legitimate means to it. There's a time for separation. There's a time to keep a distance because of some things that have occurred and this is legit. But my God, a lot of these things that have gone on have not really been legit. It's just because someone mad because someone member went over there. This one mad because he got more members. This one mad because this revival was more successful. This one mad because... Different reasons why. Just different. It has no legitimate reason to it. See? No. So...